There's a lot of rumors flying around about the Baltimore Ravens right now, but one of the biggest reasons why there's so many rumors going on right now is because the way that the Baltimore Ravens are handling business, and we're going to talk about it shortly. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on so you don't miss anything, and you can stay up to date with everything going down with the Ravens, and also leave a like on the video. So, where these rumors start, I mean, there's always rumors about the Baltimore Ravens. It's stuff that we as fans want to happen, and then it's stuff that we as fans think should happen and will happen, and then we hear stuff that could possibly happen. But where a lot of fans are really thinking and focusing on right now is the way that the Baltimore Ravens are doing contracts, something that has become real popular over the past couple of years, especially with the Eagles. I know the Saints been doing a lot of it, is void years, adding void years on the back end of contracts. And what those void years do is when you sign a player to a contract and it's for a 1-year deal, if it has like 2 or 3 void years on the back end of it, then that allows you to spread out the cap hit. So initially on that 1 year of the deal, the cap hit can be a lot lower if you add the void years to the back end of it. And the Baltimore Ravens have certainly been taking that approach a lot. I remember they did it with Odell Beckham Jr. a couple of years ago, but this year they kind of been going a little crazy with it, but I like it. And when we see that, when we look at that, we thinking like, what do the Baltimore Ravens plan on doing? Why are they doing this so much? Because this is just not like them. Number one, with Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley signed a 3-year deal worth up to $60 million, but the Baltimore Ravens, they added a couple of void years on the back end of it. With Marlon Humphrey, they just restructured his deal. Let's look at the details on that one. It says Marlon Humphrey is reducing his $18 million salary and roster bonus to the league minimum of $1.25 million and converting $16.7 million to a bonus. So again, with a restructure is not a pay cut. A restructure means you're just moving money around, probably going to get more money up front, but a restructure is not a pay cut. But anyway, 2 void years were added to the back end of Marlon Humphrey's restructure. So you see with the Baltimore, they added more void years. And it said the restructure, it created about $13.3 million in 2025 cap space. Also, Deandre Hopkins, his 1-year deal with the Ravens. He has a $3.7 million signing bonus, $1.25 million base salary, up to $1 million in playtime and performance incentives. The contract includes void years, so he'll only count about $2 million against the 2025 cap. So with those void years, the Baltimore Ravens are sort of borrowing money from the future so you can pay a little bit less right here, right now. So that's got a lot of us thinking like, oh man, what are the Baltimore Ravens planning? Do they got something going on? There's also been rumors of Mark Andrews. What's going to happen to him and when is it going to happen? There have been stuff circulating about the Chargers. I mean, with Greg Roman being there, I mean, Mark Andrews, he would thrive. I think Mark Andrews, anywhere he ends up going, whether he ends up staying or going with the Baltimore Ravens, he's going to thrive. Because he would be that number 1 tight end, and Mark Andrews is, again, I know what happened in the playoffs. We all remember what happened in the playoffs, but Mark Andrews is still a really, really great tight end. He really is. There ain't no doubt about that at all. I know the playoff is scarred a lot of Ravens fans, and I get why. It was heartbreaking. It was crushing. And it was literally back-to-back. Back-to-back Mark Andrews plays. And anyway, with the decision, whatever the Baltimore Ravens are going to do with Mark Andrews, we are going to know within the next week whether he is going to stay or whether he is going to go. The reason being because Jess Rebick, actually he sent this out on March 10th. He said key upcoming dates. But one of those dates listed was March 20th because that's when Mark Andrews' $4 million roster bonus is due. So if Ravens, they don't want to pay that and they're going to be moving on from Mark Andrews, then boom, he will be out within the next week. But if the Baltimore Ravens are going to be keeping Mark Andrews, holding on to Mark Andrews, well, then they're going to pay it and he'll stick around. But by March 20th at the absolute latest, and of course some crazy stuff could still possibly happen because you could still do some more restructure, but 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 times out of 10, we will know what's going to happen with Mark Andrews by March 20th. Cole Jackson, shout out to Cole, because he had let everybody know when the Ronnie Stanley deal, before it happened, he said, hey, that he heard rumors that the Ronnie Stanley deal was going down and the Baltimore Ravens were going to be retaining their left tackle, and that ended up becoming true. He also said yesterday that he's heard that there's been an uptick in interest in tight end Mark Andrews. And it makes sense because deadlines spark action. And a lot of people thought, oh, Mark Andrews, he might get traded during the draft. But no, that bonus, with that bonus being due on March 20th, then that will make sense that whatever happens with Mark Andrews, again, whether he's going to stay, whether he's going to go, it makes sense that a decision will be coming ASAP. Team Keep It Clean. Now we reached my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. We getting straight into it because Deandre Hopkins, he got a press conference today for the Baltimore Ravens at 12:30, and I know y'all all gonna be, we all gonna be tuned in. Anyway, first question came from my guy Zlager. He said, well, DK Metcalf and Adams are off the table, and I'm not sure who else the Ravens could pursue for wide receiver. This was obviously before they signed DeAndre Hopkins. But he also said, I understand there's still time for players to be released, though. I think the Ravens should go after Von Miller. Yes, I know he's 35 and entering his 14th season, but I believe he can still make a significant impact on our pass rush. As we know, the Ravens often bring in players who are older and nearing the end of their careers. While I'm not fully up to speed on the salary situation or his future plans, I think it's worth considering if possible. One more thing. Thank you for accepting the flowers. You deserve them. Keep up the great work, King. Appreciate you, Zlager. He snuck that in there at the end of his question, but I appreciate you, man. Von Miller. Von Miller. It's some guys out there who have been good pass rushers before. You got Von Miller. You got Matt Judon. You got Zadarius Smith. Maybe, just maybe, the Baltimore Ravens could rejuvenate some careers like they did with Kyle Vanoy. But my thing with that, see, where I'm at with it is, okay, if you bring on one of those guys, cool, regular season, cool, but playoffs, we needed to be turned up in the playoffs. And last year, Adolphe Away regular season was cool. Last year, Kyle Vanoy regular season, cool. But playoffs, where'd everybody go? And that's why we need a difference maker there at that position. That would it would make so much. It would just do so much damage to opposing teams' offenses. So I'm still hoping. I'm still hoping Ravens guys when they got something up their sleeve. We'll see, but only time will tell. Something we might have overlooked. Next question came from my guy Noah. He said, what's up, Ingraven? I hope the family's still doing great and continue to have a blessed day, my friend. I appreciate you. He said, I'm still sitting here watching your more drama video, and your reply to Jarvo about Jair Alexander when you said you can't stop there made me think about who we are actually playing next year. A lot of the fan base, including me, is on the side of going all out for an A-tier pass rusher. Well, here's something we might not have thought about. Matter of fact, I haven't heard this mentioned on any podcast or TV show. These are the top receiving corps we face next year, which account for 11 out of 17 games. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, 2 times. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. DK Metcalf, George Pickens 2 times. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Amr St. Brown and James. He played the Lions next year? Ooh. Nico Collins and Tank Dell. We played the Texans again, too. DJ Moore and Romeo Odunze. The Bears. He said Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce and possibly Rashee Rice. We'll see. He said, what do you think the plan for the front office and coaching staff will be? An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Yeah, so they got to figure it out. They got to figure it out with the cornerbacks because, again, we got Marlon Humphrey. We got Nate Wiggins, but I still think the Ravens, they're not going to be done at the cornerback position. I still think they'll draft some. You still got TJ Tampa, too, waiting in the wood. But I think they're going to draft somebody, but they'll also sign a veteran corner as well. This question came from my guy Camren. He said the Ravens should go all out for free agency. I feel the Ravens are scared to do big moves. Why can't we go out and get a Deebo Samuel like the Commanders or get these guys? We have had opportunities to do moves like that. Ravens just need to, because when free agency, we don't get a Michael Parsons as expected, and Tyreek Hill gets a contract for another team. Then missed opportunities. Then us as Ravens fans are going to be disappointed. The Ravens just need to step up and get someone. I feel you. I feel you. And you just want more difference makers. I think when we look around free agency and we see all these teams making all these moves and all these splashes, we're like, oh, man, why Ravens don't never do that? But, again, Ravens, they're not a bad team at all, as we know. They're not a team that's, like, far off. They're not this sucky loser team, anything like that. We are very, very spoiled as Ravens. And we wish we could be even more spoiled with more Super Bowls. But Ravens have a very, very successful team. Regular season, obviously. Playoffs, they need some more work. But they're not far off. They're right there. So I feel like just a couple more difference makers could help them get over that hump. Next questions came from my guy Nicholas. He said, I was just wondering, with a free agent list that is loaded with good wide receivers, would you rather have paid top dollar for a DK Metcalf or maybe get someone just as good for less money, like a Chris Godwin or a Devontae Adams? These are only a few of the players that I would have considered picking up. I'd stay away from Stephon Diggs only because he's not that big body wide receiver that we need. I don't want us to just settle either. Nothing but love to you, and thank you for keeping us informed. Appreciate that. So this was before DeAndre Hopkins. So how you feeling about him afterwards? Now, he also said, this is the most frustrating part of the season. What's the more frustrating part of the season? To do nothing, the preseason or postseason? This is a question regarding our Ravens, because while many people see our lack of going after free agents in the preseason as a sign of unsurety or see it as a sign of confidence, would you agree that all of our defensive needs will be met for the beginning of the season, or will they just be met with little improvements to those needs? Now, that's an interesting question, and I like how you put that. But Ravens, like we were just talking about, they're not far off. It ain't like all right, they need this and they need that and they need that and they need it and they need. They're not far off. Their core is really, really good. You just need to add a few difference makers. You got to fix, so just to go down the list real quick, they added a wide receiver, Deandre out there, so they took care of that. At tight end, we'll see what happens. Obviously, got your quarterback, got your running back situation taken care of. Offensive line, left guard needs to be handled. Obviously, I know people, right guard too. It's going to be Daniel Faaleeced. So just hope that he just continues to improve. So that's offense. So you need a left guard and possibly the tight end. But that's it for offense. Then on defense, edge rusher, probably another interior defensive lineman because Michael Pierce is retiring. Probably a cornerback since you lost Brandon Stevens, and you'll probably draft a safety because you got all Darius Washington and Super Duper Kyle right now. Oh, a linebacker. You need a linebacker. So there's that. So defense has a little more holes than the offense, but again, the defense has the core too. They got a nice core of guys too. They just need to fill in a few holes here and there. So with them not making this move, that move, that move, I think it's a mix of, them being confident in their own guys, but them knowing like, hey, it ain't like we need so many different people, but we just got to plug a few holes and then we'll be right back to it. Next question came from my guy Marcelo. He said, I think it's a great addition to add DeAndre Hopkins. The wide receiver room was not in much need compared to edge rusher and cornerbacks, and Eric DeCosta still added something. He might not be like he once was, but one of the best wide receiver threes in the league, and he was only a $5 million and up to $6 million deal. One trade idea I have is for Trey Hendrickson, first rounder, which will probably be spent on an edge rusher, and a 6th-round comp pick. I know they are a divisional rival, but they are desperate in trading him. I don't think they get no first-round pick for no Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson, nice, but if you got to give up a first-round pick and you got to pay the person all that money, they ain't getting no first-rounder for him. He said, look at the Christian Kirk trade. It's worth a shot. What do you think? They also have to take care of some of the cap space, but restructure Lamar's deal. I don't think they would do that. I don't think the Bengals would do it. And the Bengals could get a little desperate. They see a first round pick, but they ain't getting no first round pick with no Trey Hendrickson. He's nice. He's really, really nice. But a first round pick and you got to pay? No. He said, finally, but not least, how does this affect the way you think the Baltimore Ravens would approach the draft and approach trade ideas? I know it's long, but hope you can answer it. I love your daily videos. Keep doing what you're doing. Hey, appreciate you, Marcelo. Thank you. If we talking about DeAndre Hopkins, how will that affect the draft? It just puts less pressure on them to draft a wide receiver. They signed DeAndre Hopkins. They brought back Tylan Wallace. Already has Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Tez Walker. So a wide receiver and Anthony Miller too, you're not going to really do much at wide receiver moving forward. As far as if you're talking about if they were to trade for a Trey Hendrickson, which they ain't trading no first round pick for no Trey, then that would be like spending a first round pick on a defensive end, but it would be a proven defensive end and one that's really good. See, now when you make me say it out loud like that, you got me thinking about it, but they ain't going to do that. So that's the way that it would impact that. But since it ain't going to happen, then everything remains as is. And I think Ravens first round pick, whether you move up, whether you stay put, is got to be somebody who can come in and make an impact, boom, from jump. So I think they will be thinking edge rusher early. Next question came from my guy Matthew. He said, hey there, hope you're doing well. Just want to say keep up the great work with your videos. I love watching it as it makes my cardio at the gym fly by. Appreciate that. Keep doing that cardio too, baby. He said, but on to the question. I've been thinking, and I think all Ravens fans can agree that Faaleeced is not a good guard, but everyone who isn't Ravens oriented, both fans and media, keep making the claim that he even somehow got an all-pro vote. I don't get it either. We are Pro Bowl vote, not all pro. Anyway, he said, I don't get it either. We are all just blind and don't see what's going on, or the rest of the league got a secret conspiracy to keep us down by continuing to hype him up. The one that really got me was Brian Baldinger, because it appears when it comes to offensive line play, he really breaks down the tape. But when you look at the tape, it's not showing anything except that he's a dumpster fire and has been for years. There have been small glimpses of promise from him, but nothing I want to risk my franchise QB on. But hey, maybe EDC can use this continued hype to get a steal in the trade for him, and if the rest of the league really thinks he is that good. Sorry for rambling. It just gives me a pit in my stomach thinking we're going to get stuck with this guy for years to come. I wonder if, and again, I can't call no NFL player garbage. I can't call no NFL player dumpster fire. Yeah, Daniel Faaleeced has struggled with the right guard position. It's his first year playing it. Hopefully in his second year playing it, which, again, I know a lot of fans don't want him to be the right guard, but he will be the right guard because the Ravens love him. I wonder if this is going to be sort of like a Patrick McCarry situation, to where, yeah, he's not the best player for the position, but they keep putting him out there, and he's solid, and then they end up getting a comp pick for him in the future.